Hello, everyone. We have the honor to have with us Staton Robbins. He is one of our young adult members of our church and is a senior at Section High School. And he's agreed to come in for an interview. And let's hear what Staton has to say. Staton, being a high school senior, is an interesting time to be a high school senior, especially with everything going on with the pandemic and the social distancing. How has that impacted your life? What's it like to be a high school senior during the middle of COVID-19?
Well, it's very different, obviously. You know, your senior year, the last 3 months is supposed to be the best 3 months of your life. You're starting a new chapter, finishing one, starting another. And I look at it as it's obviously really heartbreaking, but I look at it as there's time. I'm still going to get to have a graduation. It'll just be on down the line. And just try to make the most of it and learn some things. I kind of look at it as like a head start to starting my life. I can get ready for school. I've already got my scholarships done and starting getting ready for this fall at Northeast. And I just spend more time with my family, that we can spend more time with them together and just think about everything and pray and not be afraid and just know that this is it's only temporary and it'll go away. And it may be life changing, and I look at it as I can also tell my kids one day that, you know, I was a senior and I can look at it like this. Either I was so smart that I graduated in March, or I was stupid and I didn't graduate until September or August. So that's the way I look at it.
I'm gonna go with the really smart one.
That's what I'm gonna go with too.
You mentioned going to Northeast, so what are your plans for the future, for college, for your career? Any adventures that you'd like to do?
Well, I do like to spend time. I have a couple friends. We like to go kayaking. We like to ride bikes and spend a lot of time outdoors and just do various stuff like that. But I will be attending Northeast this fall. I received a Presidential Host Scholarship. That was one of my goals that I had in mind, and I received that, and I'll start doing stuff with that this summer. And I felt really accomplished to receive that scholarship. That was one thing I had in mind.
Yeah. Do you know yet? Well, it's early, of course, but you got any plans for a career, or are you just going to kind of wait and see, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of in between both. It's kind of like a seesaw of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get my first year out of the way, and they have great career coaches at Northeast, which can kind of lead me and guide me. But right now, I'm kind of looking towards the business side of things. Receive an MBA, a major in business administration, and that's one thing that I've really had in mind lately. But I mean, it could change. Sure. I'm just kind of letting the field play itself, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's can be wise. You got that opportunity to do that.
Yes, sir. I'm very lucky.
We are really privileged that you're a part of our congregation, and I wanted to ask you about how has your Christian faith impacted your life as a high school senior, as a high schooler, as a young person, especially during this time of the season of your life?
I kind of take it day by day. Always look ahead and pray. I pray, and especially in a time like this, I pray a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful for just to be lucky to have the family that I have that can lead me in the right direction, and kind of not dwell on anything like this. Try to be as positive as I can, especially in a time like this, because it's trying times. It's difficult for a lot of people, but just show some optimism and just try to be as positive as I can for not only me, but for everyone in my life.
Yeah. What is one of your favorite Bible passages that you've drawn a lot of comfort and strength from?
It was actually Isaiah 41:10.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the gist of it was basically saying, have no fear. We can put everything in God's hands, and He'll take care of it for us, because He obviously has a plan for all of us. And that's one thing I try to tell myself every day. Like throughout the many mistakes that we make throughout our life, you know, God has a plan. He will lead us, even if we're going through a lot of confusion and trying time like this. You know, God's going to get us through it, and we'll be able to get through it if we just put everything in His hands.
Yeah, I can hear your faith in your conversation. How has your relationship with Jesus been richened and grown in depth in these last few years that you've been a Christian?
Well, throughout the church, I've grown a lot closer with a lot of people. Throughout the men's Bible study with Jake, mm-hmm. That kind of gives us, you know, a lot of time to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. And even with times like this, you know, you have a lot of one-on-one time.
Yeah.
to just pray, and that's the way I try to look at it, and just kind of try to pray and see what my plan is, and just try to be the best Christian man that I can be. Grow my faith as an individual, so I can show it to a group setting one of these days.
Sure. This faith community, Section United Methodist Church, I think you have been a shining example to many of us here. And I would assume that this faith family has indeed been a family to you and has supported you in many ways. What does that bring up into your mind as you think about this congregation?
Like you said, I think of them as a family. Just some people that you can really be comfortable with. You love to come worship with every Sunday and see throughout the community. I mean, you can just go out and have conversations with them. And then on Wednesday nights, when the men come and worship together, and like just the other day, I was driving through Scottsboro and I saw Bill Harris. He's a member of the church, but he's also in our men's Bible study. And I just stopped and had a conversation with him. Yeah. You really grow connected and close with people, and you know that they'll be there for you and with you no matter what.
Yeah. Me too. It's a great congregation. Well, if in the world that we see around us, if you could change something in the way it works in this world, if you could change something, what would you change?
Well, I'd probably, obviously with everything going on right now, I'd want to change the pandemic. I miss being around people. I don't like being isolated. I like to be around people in a group setting, and that's probably one thing I'd change, because I don't like to be alone for very long. I get kind of anxious, I guess. I like being around people a lot.
Sure. Yeah, that shows. What makes you sad, or what makes you angry, or what's something that gives you a tremendous amount of joy?
Well, it's kind of hard to make me very angry. I don't get angry very often. I try to just be as positive as I can, and just be a light, I guess. Just always be smiling, just a smiling face, and comforting, so someone can always come talk to. And probably one thing that did make me sad is when I found out that I wouldn't be able to go to school for the rest of my senior year. That kind of made me sad, but I didn't let it get me down, because I tried to look further down the line and see some other, like I'll be starting school this fall, so I already have another chapter that I can start. This one ended a lot sooner than I thought it would, but that doesn't mean the story's over, as you can say, I guess. And that makes me too. Another thing that I get happy that there is optimism. Like I said, this is only temporary, and we'll get through it, especially with all the positive people that I have around me. And this will pass soon enough, and we'll be able to continue as normal. That makes me happy, I guess.
Sure. Well, one final question. Who's your favorite superhero?
Like we were saying earlier, one of my favorites growing up was probably Spider-Man, because he dealt with tragedy in his life, and I wouldn't really call this a tragedy, but I dealt with something when I broke my shoulder. Another thing throughout my senior year, I broke my shoulder, and I wasn't able to play half of my basketball season, and I looked at that as an opportunity just to lead others in a lot of ways, and that helped me out a lot, and me growing into the person I am. And you gotta have great responsibility. Like he was really a nobody, and just became, with all that power that he just magically had, it came with a lot of responsibility, and I think that kind of helped him grow into the person he was, I guess.
Sure. And a bonus question. Of all the people, it could be personal or it could be a historical figure, who is the personality that you really admire, and why do you admire them?
I'd probably say my dad. I really admire my dad and envy him, because he's very positive, and he goes to work every day. He's a principal. He's a principal at Staton Middle School, and anytime you see some of his students, they're like, Mr. Robbins, and he always takes time to smile at them and wave at them, ask them how everything's going. And that's one thing I really admire about him. He's never too busy to say hello to anybody or to help you out, to do anything like that, because he's really helped me out with a lot of things, with everything that's been going on. That's probably what I'd say.
Sure. Well, Staton, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and having this interview for your faith community, so they get a little insight into the wonderful person that you are. God bless you. We sure do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed this interview with this remarkable young man, Staton Robbins.